Yo, what's good, you guys? Your boy Ben Mahari here, represent Mahari Nation Sports Podcast. Hope you guys have been having a good Memorial Day. Hope you guys have been enjoying your days off, resting your legs and all that throughout the whole work week. You know what I mean? And much love to all my subscribers, all my LDBC brethren out there doing their thug this out there. And I personally want to salute to 78 Sports TV for the fantastic interview with Melise Scott and Deontay Wilder. Very, very well done interview. And I might do a video about my analysis of what I took from the interview probably either tomorrow or Wednesday. So, but to continue on the videos that I've been dropping about the playoffs here, right now the Atlanta Hawks have pretty much put the claws on against New York. As actually, oops, I should not say. Let me adjust this real quick. There we go. My bad. Little quick adjustment. There we go. So Atlanta puts the claws on against New York as Atlanta now leads 3-1 against the New York Knicks. That's a bit better. Don't want to mislead you. That would be bad. So to talk about the series right now, the way I look at it right now is, Trae Young has been averaging nearly between 25 points and 10 assists a game, in his first playoff series, which has been phenomenal. And, the presence of Clint Capella has really been one of the key takeaway points of this entire series. Obviously, the big story of the season has been the New York Knicks, a team that basically turned things around after last season's failures to win 47 games. Julius Randle becoming an all NBA performer and Tom Thibodeau doing his best coaching job since Chicago has been one of the big stories this year. But unfortunately, what has been foreseen in this series is that both Randall and also RJ Barrett, they're really good players, but unfortunately, they may not be the guys that could help lead you to possibly going to another level in terms of being a championship contender, if that makes sense. Um, Now, throughout the first three games of that series, Julius Randle has shot 24%. Among the players who's taking the at least 50 shots, that's pretty much the worst three-game starts to any postseason during the shot clock era. Then you throw in RJ Barrett's 13 for 38, two of New York's best players, and right now they basically have shot below 28 between themselves, 28%, which basically put them in their 3-1 hole. But when you look at the numbers of game four between the two stars in New York, Reynolds scored 23 points and grabbed 10 rebounds and 7 assists. Barrett had 12.6 rebounds, 4 assists. So they pretty much yesterday, they shot 15 of 34 from the field, and they were minus 24 in their 70 minutes. So the numbers did look on the table, but if you're actually watching the tape, their plus minuses don't always tell you the story, because he and Barrett, they become the pretty much the go-to players on the Knicks team. But the problem I'm seeing with them two is that they're not the type of players that are going to be collectively, teams, top players that's going to expect a little bit more come postseason time. And unfortunately, that's been the case. And you know, for a team that has been pretty much a national embarrassment for the last decade, now you found something that is pretty much something in the in the dirt that's now starting to shine right now. But I think the big problem for the New York Knicks is that they're going to need an all-star go-to guy to complement those other pieces. Because right now, you know, Barrett has shown some inconsistency, and although RJ Barrett's a really good player, my eyes not taken away from him, I just don't see him being that guy that you could trust upon to take that next step to becoming that star that the Knicks are going to need if they're going to become title contenders. And so we'll see what happens. But I'm not giving up on RJ Barrett, but the jury's still out on him. He's made a number of significant strides this season, but can he be the complementary piece? That's going to be the big question heading into next season. But the other thing is that can Randall become that bankable superstar? Because he's great at a lot of different things, but he's not particularly great at one specific thing. And the problem with Julius Randle is that he would have stretches where there's a lot of bad shooting nights. He lets his cold shooting nights affect different parts of his game. And so when you add to all those concerns, you know it's now putting themselves in a very, very bad situation. Pretty much the entire season, they pretty much relied upon their defense, which is basically the staple of Tom Thibodeau's coaching. They win because of defense. But when you basically are a defensive minded team, the offense pretty much is lags behind. So this year they ranked 24th in overall total offense, which is pretty much somewhat of an improvement of what they were a year ago. But at the same time, it's becoming a problem because Atlanta is a very good, potent offensive team. Specifically to what Trae Young's been able to do, what Clint Capela's been able to do, what Bogdanovich is able to do on both ends of the floor. You know what I'm saying? It's really becoming a problem. Now, when you look at Atlanta in terms of what they did on Sunday, Trae Young scored 27 points, had 9 assists. John Collins had 22 points, his best game of the series. And when you look at the offensive burst between them, you know, in about 57 seconds, the Hawks pretty much buried 3 straight 3 pointers at the end of the first half to pretty much get to some momentum heading into the half. And what's even worse for the Knicks is that for the first half rate of 96.1, who struggled from the outside for pretty much shooting offensively, Game 4 turned everything for the Hawks as they finally made some key separation. And the big thing that I took away from this whole situation is that it's become the big runs in the third quarter for the Atlanta Hawks that's pretty much put them in a big position now where now they have a huge opportunity to close out the series. And so heading into this game, Coach Nate McMillan talked about how the Hawks, he pretty much talked about this is going to be the toughest game of the series because they need to put them in a position where they know they're going to lose. And the way that it was displayed, though, the Atlanta Hawks showed much more composure and stuck to their game plan a lot better than what the New York Knicks did. And you know, pretty much the bottom line is that the Hawks have shown much more poise than New York is. I always felt that New York, if they don't score offensively, they don't get things going on their offensive end, it's going to pretty much sink their defense to a lower level. And that's what I've been seeing in the last 2 games in Atlanta. And now they find themselves down, 3 games to 1, heading back into Madison Square Garden with the possibility of their season, concluding. And so the way I look at it right now is simple as this. Coach Thibodeau and his coaching staff need to implement better plays to get Julius Randle better opportunities to get better shots. Stop taking all those jump shots. Stick your big behind in the paint and start using the inside interior. You know what I mean? And also Derrick Rose got to shoot the ball better. He's been shooting below 30% from the field in the last 2 games. He got to shoot better. All right, because if those two got, and also RJ Barrett's got to play better too. Shooting below 28%, it's not going to cut it. Those guys on New York side of the ball, they need to do better. Okay. And right now, if you're the Atlanta Hawks right now, you're in full command of the series. So pretty much you don't have to change much at all. All you got to do is just let Trae Young do his thing, dominate the inside tier, and continue to create those open opportunities for 3-point shooting. And as long as they continue to stay mentally focused on the task in hand and not get involved into a physical confrontation with the Knicks, I suspect that the Atlanta Hawks will close out the series tomorrow night, barring anything that happens here. Now, if New York can somehow win this game to try to push it back for Game 6, that could be one thing, you know. But I don't see that happening. I think Trae Young is going to pretty much close the show and put the cap on a spectacular first round series against the New York Knicks. And it's gonna be a bit of a stinker for the Knicks if they lose in 5. But if they find a way to give the fans something to cheer about by winning Game 5 and giving them something to cheer for next season, I think that would be a huge morale boost, in my opinion. But if they can come back, win Game 5, and then pull off a huge victory on the road to force it to Game 7, that's going to change the entire complexion. But the way I see it right now, I think Atlanta's in a good position to close out the series tomorrow night and advance. That's the way I see it right now, and the way that things are looking between Washington and Philadelphia, it's going to set up a huge second round series between Philadelphia and Atlanta. And I'm going to do a little bit of review of the Sixers and Wizards series in a couple of hours here. But that's just my 2 cents. You never know what you think in the comment section below. With that, I'm out. Peace.